Welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. On this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use Cyberlink PowerDirector 18 for beginners. So even if you've never used PowerDirector before, or maybe you're brand new to video editing, I'm going to show you all the important things that you'll need to create your very first project. Now before we get started, the version that I'm using here is PowerDirector 18 Ultimate Edition. So this does have more features than the base version. However, the majority of what I'm showing you here should also be available in the base version. So once you bring up PowerDirector 18, you're going to be greeted with some options, starting with the video aspect ratio. So in this case, you could choose from 60:9 or 4:3 for more horizontal projects, or 9:16 or 1:1 for more vertical projects, or 360 for 360-degree videos. So in this case, we're going to stick with 16:9. And below that, you're going to see 4 other options. So full mode is the entire video editing suite, which is where we're going to be spending all our time. But there's also storyboard mode, slideshow creator, and auto mode. So I'm going to go over each one of these briefly. So storyboard mode will bring you into the editor, but this has this whole storyboard view. So in this case, you could drag down your images, audio, or video clips. And once you play each clip, it's going to go from one clip to another in this whole storyboard fashion. So by using this mode, you're able to quickly put projects together. So that's the first mode. So the second one is the slideshow creator. And this one's super simple to use. So all you have to do here is just choose the images that you want. So you could choose the images either individually or by an entire folder. And once it brings the images in, you could choose a template that you want to use. And then PowerDirector will create your slideshow. Now, depending upon the template that you use, you could also customize this as well. So it does give you some flexibility in how you use these templates. So now let's look at the final mode, which is the auto mode. So this one not only allows you to add images, but also allows you to add videos as well. So very similar to the slideshow creator, you could choose the files that you want. So in this case, I'm going to choose this video and just a few images. So we can add these images here. All right. Next, we're going to choose our template. And then PowerDirector puts everything together. And now we have our entire movie project ready to go with videos and images and even audio as well. And very similar to the slideshow creator, some of these themes do allow you to edit this. So you do have some flexibility and creativity in how these templates look. So these are all the other modes that you have available. And now we can actually go into the full mode to do our very first project. And so now we're in our full video editor mode. So before we begin our project, I'm going to give you a tour of PowerDirector 18 so that you can understand how to navigate through the tool. And most importantly, learn the things you need to create your very first project. And so if you go up here, you'll notice there's 4 different sections or tabs. And so the first one is capture. And so here you'll be able to capture from a variety of different sources, whether it's from a webcam, your microphone, other optical media, other cameras, or you could even do screen captures by using the built-in screen recorder. But where you're going to be spending the majority of your time is going to be under the edit tab. So this is where all your video editing is going to be done. And once your project is completed, you can head over to the produce area and you can export or render your video. And finally, if you need to create any optical media, you can use the Create This tool. So as you can see here, there are a lot of features available, but where we're going to be spending most of our time is right here under the edit page. So here you have a lot of options available to you. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go over the features here on top, then go over the tools on the left navigation. And so the first thing you can do is to import media. So you can import media files individually or by an entire folder. Plus, you could download additional media from Cyberlink Cloud or sound clips from Director Zone. So we're going to import some media. So you can use the browser here to find the files that you want. Or if you already had a folder open, you can simply drag over these clips to your project. So I'm going to bring one of these clips down to my project timeline. So next up, you have plugins. And there are a variety of different plugins that you can use for your project. And here we have different views. And so the default view is your media content. So here you could see all your video content, images, or audio. And you could also toggle these on and off. But there's also additional media options here as well. If you use the drop down, you see things like color boards, background images, and a great set of background music, plus sound clips that you can use right away. And there's also my projects, and finally express projects, which are some built-in templates that you can use to create your projects. So we'll go back to media content. So here there are some library menu options. You could do some sorting, choose different icon sizes, and also additional library features here. You can also adjust your thumbnail size to whatever works well for you. And there's also a search feature here. So looking over to the left, we're in our media room view. Below that, you have our effect room. So here there are a ton of effects that you can use right away. Below that, we have video overlays. And so if you want to add text bubbles, arrows, it's all available here. Next up, we have our particle room. So there are some 3D particle effects that you can use. And here we have our title room. There is a great collection of titles you can use here, including some animated titles as well. Here we have our transition room. So there's over 100 plus transitions, which is a really great feature to have, and I do enjoy using these. Here we have our audio mixer room. So if you had multiple audio sources, you can mix it right here. And below that, we have a great voiceover feature. So if you want to do voiceovers or narrations, you could do it directly here in PowerDirector without having to use an external audio program. Next up, we have our chapter room. So you could group clips together in chapters to keep things more organized. And finally, we have our subtitle room, which allows you to create subtitles and captions for your videos. So these are really great features, and you're going to be using all of them throughout your video editing journey. And for most of these, you could actually download additional templates as well, which is a great feature to have. So if we look over here to the right, this is our preview window. So here, if you're actually looking at a clip, you could preview it here. Or if you're looking things at your project timeline, it'll show up here on the preview window. And the controls are fairly simple. You could play, pause, go back, seek, fast forward. You could also take snapshots of your video clip. And you could also choose the preview quality. So if you had a slower computer, you can adjust the resolution on your preview window. You could turn on and off the sound. There's a 3D mode. Plus, you could also unlock the preview mode as well. So you have some control there, or you can move it to a secondary screen, or you can also dock this as well. And there's also resizing options. So here, you put your mouse over here. You could resize it to whatever works best for you. And those are like the main navigation features here. So now let's move over to our project timeline. For serious YouTubers, check out TubeBuddy, the premier tool news at geekoutdoors.com. Get more done today by checking out the affiliate link in the description area below. So the project timeline is where you're going to be doing all your work, and everything is comprised of tracks. So here we have our video track. Here's our audio track. This is an FX track. Here's another video and audio track. Plus we have tracks for text, voiceovers, and music. And if you wanted to add additional tracks, all you have to do is go here to add additional video and audio tracks. And by default, it's going to add both a video and audio track. And you can choose to not add these tracks just by putting 0 here for either audio or video. And similarly, you could do the same thing for effects tracks. Plus, you could also choose where the tracks go. So if we add another track, it's going to add a new one right here. And if you want to remove this, just go ahead and right click and then remove track. And then for the tracks themselves, you could also disable them as well. So say for example, you want to disable your video, you could uncheck the box and now your video won't appear. And similarly, you could do the same thing for your audio. And if you wanted to, you could also lock your tracks as well. So that prevents you from making any changes, whether intentional or unintentionally. You could do that here. And for your voiceover track, it's super easy to use. If you wanted to do voiceover, choose this track, go here to voiceover, and now let's record our voiceover. Testing out the voiceover track. So once you're done, there's your brand new voiceover. And when you play this, testing out, we now have our voiceover. Super easy to use. And then in terms of the music track, you could actually add music to any track that is audio. So say for example, I wanted to add some background music. We're going to choose this one right here. We'll drag it down here. And if I play this now, there's our music. I can move it up here to the voiceover track. Same thing here. Or I can move it over to another audio track and it works just the same. So now that you've seen all these features here, let's look at some other features that are related to your clips. On your project timeline, you have these two main features up here. However, if you select your clip, more options are available. And so I'm going to bring down some additional clips so that I can show you how some of these features work. And so one thing I do want to note is if you do bring in additional clips at the bottom, whether it's a video or image, it's going to be on top of your previous video. So as you can see here, you can't see my original video unless it's already past this clip right here. So that's something that's important, and I'm going to show you how this applies to some of the features here later. So I'm going to hide this for now. And so the first option you have is to split the selected clip. So this is basically a cut tool. So wherever you have your playhead at, and then you choose split the selected clip, it's going to make a split right there. So now we have two different clips. And next up we have our trim tool. So here you'll be able to trim this particular clip. So there's going to be a mark in and mark out point. So mark in is where you want it to start. Mark out is where you want it to end. And you could also do this manually as well. Plus you could also use the multi-trim tool to do more advanced trimming. And you could also view the output before you make any changes. So that's the main way that you could actually trim your clip. Next up we have the designer tool. So here we have a variety of different options available. But I'm going to show you this one right here, which is PIP Designer or Picture-in-Picture Designer, and how it works with this clip below. So I'm going to turn this back on, and I'm going to go to this clip and choose PIP Designer. And here we could do our picture-in-picture. So the first thing I can do is resize this and also adjust the position. And you also have some other options here. I'm going to go ahead and add a border and shadow. Say OK. So now we have our picture-in-picture along with the border and shadow. So that's one way that you can use the designer tool. Next up we have fix and enhance. So this allows you to adjust things like your white balance, noise, lens correction, and you could also do color adjustments as well. So after that we have our tools. So here are the power tools. You could adjust the video speeds, do crop and zooms, blending mode, 2D to 3D. There's a motion tracker and many other options, including audio ducking, which will allow you to narrate and also lower the volume of existing music or sound that you had on the clip. So that's another great feature to have. And then we have keyframes. So if you like to do keyframes, this is where you're going to do it at. So you can simply right click on your mouse, add a new keyframe here, and then you can add another keyframe here. And there's many other options available here on the left as well. So if you're somebody who is going to be getting into keyframes, this is a great place to do it at. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that. And then here we have our remove the selected clip. So if I were to select this and press delete, it's going to give me three different options, very similar to the trim tool. So you could either do that here, or you could just go to the delete button right here and it'll do the same thing. So you can remove and leave gap. So there's a gap there. You could do remove and fill gap. So it moves it over. Or you could do remove, fill gap, and move all clips if you have multiple clips on there. And then finally, we have more features here. There's a lot that you could do here, but they all work together once you start using them. And so these are all the main features that you have available in your project timeline. As you can see, there is a lot that you can do. However, we're now going to focus on creating your very first video, and it's going to be very simple. But now that you know that all these tools are available, you can have a lot of fun being creative. And so in this first project, I've combined a lot of what we learned today. So let me show you how this looks. So if you go here to the preview window, you could double click and it's going to go ahead and make this full screen. So let's check this out. So here we have our picture-in-picture, 3D particles. and also some titles right down here. And next up, you're going to see a transition. Now you have some filters, a video overlay, and then one final transition to finish things off. And that is our very first project. So now I'm going to show you how to do this from the beginning to the end. And then finally, we can export our very first project. And so the first thing that I've done is I brought down all my clips to the project timeline. And if you need to zoom in, you can use the zoom tool down here, or you could hold down the control key and use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And you could even use this view entire movie mode, where it's going to show all your clips at once, plus it's going to zoom in as well. So now that we have our clips ready, let's go ahead and start editing. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to actually trim this down. I'm going to choose this part of the clip and use the split at selected clip. Then I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to choose remove and fill gap. So now our clips are right next to each other. And I'm going to add one more split right here. So this is a place where I'm going to add a transition. So now we have 3 clips up here and 1 clip down here. And so the first thing we want to do is the picture-in-picture. So you could do a very simple picture-in-picture by simply resizing it and then repositioning it. So this is really the easy way to do a picture-in-picture. However, if you want some motion, you could do that by adding some keyframes. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select this clip, choose keyframe, and make sure we're in our clip attributes right here. First thing I'm going to do is right click, add a new keyframe, and then I'm going to add another keyframe right here, and I'm going to resize and reposition it to where I want. And then I'm going to go back to this first keyframe and make this one full screen. So this is going to be a really quick and easy way to do that. But now, if you watch this, we now have our moving picture-in-picture. Very similar to broadcast TV. So that's the first thing that we've done. Now we're going to go to this clip, and we're going to go ahead and add some particle effects. We're going to add our 3D maple particle effects. So you can just drag this down here, if you like, to a video track. And now you have your 3D particle effect. And also, let's go ahead and add a title as well. So I'm going to add a title right here. And you could choose from any title you want, but we're going to go ahead and add the one with some motion graphics. So I'm going to add this one right here. Looks really cool. So you could drag this down here to your title. Let's just say right there. That'll work. And now when you have your title down here, you could actually edit this. So you could double click on this title. It's going to come up with an editor. So you can move this around. You can resize it. And you could also change the text. So I'm going to change the text here. Make it really simple. Say to my channel. And I'm going to do that again because there's 2 versions of it. Right here. And now I'm going to change the text above to say welcome. And I'm going to do that one more time. And so depending upon the text that you use, it's going to have different options. But now we have our text. So let's go ahead and look at this. So we have our picture-in-picture, our 3D particle, and our text. So it's now time to add a transition right after this. Okay, great. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add the transition here. So I'm going to have to trim this a little bit more. So I'm going to select this, move it over here, and we'll go ahead and trim and move all clips. Great. So now we have our transitions. So there's a ton of transitions that we could choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and add this simple one, this dominoes, right down here. So if you double click on this transition, you do have other options. So you could have it start from the left or right and have it overlap like this, or you can have it cross each other. So I like the cross transition. So let's go ahead and look at this. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. So great. So now we have all the effects here, picture in picture, title, plus a transition. So on this second part of the clip, I'm going to go ahead and add some effects. So we're going to go here to the effect room. We're going to do this TV simulator. Now here you could actually put it on top of the clip itself, or you could put it on the effects track. So that's what I'm going to do. So now we have this TV simulator, and you can extend this effect out if you want to cover the entire video, or you could shorten it right here. I'm going to go ahead and trim this some more. Don't want to make this too long. So we'll trim and move. And we're going to go ahead and add a video overlay as well. So we'll go here to video overlay. Let's add this. And I'm going to move it down here to this track. And I'm going to shorten it a little bit. All right. So now if you double click on this, very similar to the title, you can adjust this. So you can reposition this, resize it, and most importantly, change the text. So I'm going to change the title right here. So we'll have this text right here. Say OK. And now let's check this out. Here's our transition. There's our second clip with the TV simulator, video overlay. Awesome. And then finally, I'm going to add one more transition here to finish things off. So let's go ahead and choose this color star. And I'm going to leave this just the way it is. So now let's go ahead and check out our project. We have our picture in picture, 3D particles, title. And then here we're going to have our transition going over to our second clip. And in this one, we have our TV simulator effects along with the video overlay. And then one final transition here. And that is it. That is our very first project. So now let's go ahead and produce our video. To produce your video, you'll come up here to the Produce tab. And once you're here, you're going to be provided with more options. And so the default is standard 2D. But if you had a 3D video, you could choose that here. And if there's a specific device you want to produce this for, you could choose the device that you want. And it's going to have its own profile. And finally, you could upload this directly to your favorite online provider. So going back to standard 2D, you can choose the file format that you want. The default here is H.264 AVC. And for file extension, you could choose M2TS, MP4, MKV, or depending upon the format that you choose, you could have more available. And then for profile types, you could either choose the default, create a custom one, or view all your available profiles. And here under profile name and quality, there's already some pre-built profiles available for you to use, or you could add your own. And here we have our country and video format. And then down here we have fast video rendering technology. So I choose hardware video encoder. And if you had surround sound, you could choose that as well. And here you can also upload a copy of this to Cyberlink Cloud. And finally, you can enable preview during production. So once you're done, you just click on start and your final video is now created. So that is it for this Cyberlink PowerDirector 18 tutorial. Hopefully you learned a lot from here. And more importantly, you're able to create your very first project here in Cyberlink PowerDirector. So if you actually had any thoughts on this or any other types of tutorials that you want to see, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Go Content Creators group, where you get access to additional videos and content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Go Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.